The Namib Naukluft Park in Namibia. The sparse vegetation of this landscape in one of the world's largest wildlife reserves seems to go on forever. It is not only the size of this reservation that makes it so remarkable. The Namib is the most ancient desert in the world. The park's dusty desert roads travel through an area of approximately 50,000 square kilometers and are covered with a variety of rocks and expansive stony plains. Located in southwest Africa, the Namib is one of the most arid regions on Earth. Years can go by without a drop of rain. Campers and four-wheel drive jeeps briefly interrupt the tranquility of this remote wilderness. Named by the local Nama people, Namib means area of emptiness. The name certainly doesn't do justice to this fascinating nature park. Despite its sparse and extreme climatic conditions, the reservation is inhabited by a large variety of plants and animals. During the course of time, both plants and animals have gradually adapted to the harshness of the desert. In fact, it is the sandy, arid surroundings that make their existence possible. In the east and southeast of the city of Swakop are fascinating and bizarre rock formations, as well as all the vast horizons of this shimmering landscape. About every 10 years, heavy rainstorms transform this normally stone-covered desert into mighty grass plains, and parts of it even into a lake. Between the rock and sand fields of the normally dried-out Swakop and Kuiseb rivers, there are granite hills and small mountains. This world of sand and rock is strange and remote. It is an untouched and natural biosphere that extends relentlessly to the horizon. first Europeans who came here thought that this region resembled the surface of the moon. Clearly, that's why this area in the northern part of the park was named Moon Valley. While travelling from the seaport of Swakop deeper into the country's interior, there's a real sense of adventure in the air. The remoteness and wild character of the river landscape augments this feeling as we journey to one of the most remote places on the face of the earth. As we travel further from the Atlantic coast, the terrain becomes increasingly more elevated. Barren, though picturesque hills rise up from the rocky desert. Fortunately, this place has remained completely unspoilt to the present day. Unlike most of Namibia's wildlife parks, the Namib Naukluft is free of mass tourism. Only a few intrepid travellers venture to this isolated region. This part of the Namib is too remote for the normal tourist trail. The allure of its landscape is not quite so obvious as in Namibia's other nature parks. The Welwitschia mirabilis is one of this desert's most famous and most extraordinary plants. It is the only species of its kind. Despite the heat and arid conditions, this remarkable plant with its two long intertwined leaves can survive for almost 2,000 years. Vital nutrients and water are stored within the wooden roots of this unique plant. Its roots grow up to 3 meters long. The dusty gravel roads of the Namib Naukluft Park are a dream come true for off-road enthusiasts. In most sections of the park, conventional two-wheel drive vehicles are permitted. Situated in the heart of Namibia, this, the 4th largest nature park in the world, has a total of 4 different regions. After long periods of solitude, it's reassuring to see another vehicle crossing the terrain. long periods of rainfall are very rare, some of Namib's plants and trees have managed to survive in this dry and unyielding environment. Preserving moisture comes to the desert every 10 days or so. It arrives in the form of a mist that originates above the Atlantic and moves across the land, ensuring the survival of both plant and animal life. Although the moisture it brings is really quite scant, it is sufficient for the creatures who inhabit the rocks and sandy dunes of the Namib. The majority of the animals that have adapted so well to the desert are mostly small species such as insects, lizards, and spiders. It's easy to lose a sense of time on these endless roads and paths, far away from all the stresses and strains of everyday life. Here, nature can be experienced in all its glory. In some areas, the asphalt roads are covered with sand and are extremely difficult to distinguish from the surrounding terrain. In this wild environment, it's important to have good roads. That is why the edge of the roads are often marked with large stones. A gigantic rock rises up from the otherwise flat landscape and looks like a huge and frightening animal skull. For those who have lived in the Namib Desert for several hundred years, these places are of great cultural and religious significance. The roads seem to go on forever as they travel across infertile land and rocky plains. Cars and jeeps create great clouds of dust that can leave a trail that stretches for several kilometers. In the northern section of the park, not far from the Swakop and Kuiseb rivers, large expanses of rock dominate the scenery. continuous expansion of this huge and colourful nature reserve has continued for half a century and has resulted in what we see today. In 1907, Namibia's German colonial administration recognized the value of this region and its wildlife and designated it as a protected area. In those areas that enjoy more frequent rainfall, fields and trees, such as the very hardy acacia, line the roads of the park. Up until 1986, the reservation was enlarged by the integration of several different regions of the Namib Naukluft. The impressive, yet strangely formed Kokerboom, or Quiver Tree, is in reality not a tree at all, but a high-growing variety of the aloe plant. The name of the plant comes from the bushmen who made quivers for their arrows from its large branches. Kokerboom, acacias, and various low-growing varieties of bush make up the characteristic vegetation of this desert region. The intensity of the colours is quite amazing, and the blue of the sky is in beautiful contrast to the stark yellow of the desert sand. In the southern direction of the Kuiseb River, the road travels past spectacular, though treacherous passes that lead up into the Swartbank mountain range. All of a sudden, in the midst of this desolate isolation, a heavy vehicle appears from nowhere. Because of the desert wind, the main roads are maintained on a regular basis. Today, the most important routes are used quite frequently, not only by tourists, but also the local inhabitants and those who live in the nearby coastal town of Walvis Bay. The gravel road ascends for 300 meters and leads to the Swartbankberg mountain pass. The journey is becoming increasingly exciting as the downhill road is extremely narrow, with equally restricted bridges that require the driver's utmost concentration. From time to time, it's good to stop for a drink and take in the natural splendor of the mountain region. Encounters with tractors and other similar heavy-duty vehicles that maintain the roads are relatively common. After all, the sands of the desert are not very far away. To the west of the capital of Windhoek, on the edge of the Namib Naukluft Park, a high plateau stretches across the land, the Khomas Hoogland. The gravel roads in this area are well known for their natural and adventurous allure. Here, driving is an unforgettable experience. A total of 3 different routes lead across the Bosua Pass and the 2,334-meter-high Gamsberg Pass down into the Namib Desert. Thanks to its exceptional location and ideal environmental conditions, an observatory was built on the Gamsberg Plateau. This is a place of beautiful hills and vast plains. And there's even a family of ostriches resting beneath the cool shade of a tree. Over the course of evolution, these birds have lost their ability to fly. They live in small groups led by a male that can be recognized by its black feathers. For many larger animals, the vast Khomas highland provides more favorable living conditions than the hot sand dunes of the Namib Desert. Traveling along these narrow roads is not without risk and requires the complete attention of the driver. There are deep valleys and sheer crevices on both sides of the road. The journey on the winding up and down road continues past steep and menacing canyons. Finally, after several hours of traveling through the demanding mountain regions, we reach the vast open expanses of the desert. Here, the feeling of isolation from the outside world becomes even more intense. Surrounded by nothing more than the sands of central Namib. Soon, further mountains appear. Unlike the Khomas highland, the Naukluft mountain peaks are usually covered by cloud. This mountain region has been designated as a protected area for the endangered mountain zebra. Close to the Tsondab River, we arrive on more familiar ground. Gulsport is one of the most beautiful visitor farms in the entire country. Gulsport also has a petrol station and small shop. After a short and relaxing break, it's time to continue the journey as the drive to the famous Namib dunes still has some way to go. Hills reappear. The green colours of the farm slowly disappear and are replaced by the rocky foothills of the mountains. Sometimes the modern jeeps come across more nostalgic vehicles. The friendly inhabitants of this region are always delighted to point us in the right direction. As the Naukluft mountain landscape becomes smaller in the rear view mirror, suddenly we are surrounded by desert. Once again, sand dominates the scene. But even here in this seemingly lifeless environment, there are bushes that have managed to adapt to the harsh conditions. A couple of curious cows appear from nowhere. A clear indication of both water and human beings. Farm life in the middle of the wilderness. In this region, the existence of any form of life is surprising. The increasing amount of traffic suggests that another village lies close by. World-famous sand dunes of the Namib Desert are getting closer and closer. The small village of Sesriem provides overnight accommodation and good food, and is the gateway to this fascinating part of the desert, the Sossusvlei. For those who come here, the first glimpse of these magnificent dunes inspires a deep appreciation of the beauty of nature. The sand dunes flank the road in soft oscillating waves that lead further into the depths of the desert. West of Sesriem, the course of the usually dry Tsauchab River has carved out a wide valley. The scant vegetation seems to have almost given up its struggle for survival against the extremely arid terrain and incredible heat of this region. Covering a length of close to 70 kilometers, beautiful and majestic sand dunes line the gravel road until it ends in Sossusvlei. Dune 45 has become famous throughout the world. At a height of around 325 meters, it is thought to be the highest single sand dune on Earth. But this claim is somewhat exaggerated. The dunes are located on a large plateau of sandstone and are therefore not a complete mass of sand. Following the demanding and arduous ascent to the top of the dunes, there's a spectacular view of the surrounding landscape. The dramatic natural colours of the Namib Desert that can be seen from here are one of the most impressive attractions in the entire park. A few camel-dawn acacias are one of this area's last remaining examples of vegetation. The radiant dunes stretch ahead endlessly, a true feast for the eye. The journey into the vast emptiness of the landscape continues under an equally never-ending sky. This is the end of the road, where there's also a car park. The dunes appear to glow. Their vibrant red colour is due to the granite dust that is blown across the Naukluft Mountains by the wind. The final section can only be negotiated by four-wheel drive vehicles. And after a few kilometers, the journey comes to an end. Those without a jeep and who wish to travel to the end of Sossusvlei can book a tour with an experienced driver. Part of the desert, the sand is extremely deep and soft, making it even more demanding for off-road vehicles. In order to continue further, it's necessary to release some of the pressure from the tires. The vastness of this ocean of dunes is simply breathtaking. Like a glowing red mountain range, the sand reaches even greater heights. A waterhole that has been dried out for several years is a reminder of the dangers of this environment. Without rain, the earth is burnt out and lifeless. The existence of several much older desert areas is contained beneath the dunes that are visible today. In the last 30,000 years, the dunes continuously grew larger because of the wind that carried more and more sand to this region. The low-hanging branches of the camel-thorn trees appear to be weak and exhausted by the arid conditions. However, they provide a good degree of welcome shade. In the midst of this wilderness, a bird has found a shady place to escape the fierce sun, and an oryx antelope appears to have lost its way. It's wise to keep an eye on the time in this colourful desert landscape. The control checkpoint that is located 65 kilometres away must be reached before sunset in order to avoid a fine by the park's rangers. On the return journey, the orange-coloured beauty of Sossusvlei passes by for the last time. An unforgettable experience. The captivating oscillations and waves of this ocean of sand reach up to the edge of the horizon and beyond. Moving spectacle of both colour and dunes in the Namib Desert are natural works of art that burn deep into the memory, like the rays of the scorching sun in the southwest of Africa. It's sad to leave this wonderful place of mountainous red sand and arid terrain, with all of its inherent dangers, truly enchanting scenery and adventurous allure. Time is running short. This part of the nature reserve is only open to visitors from sunrise until sunset. The final destination of the journey through the Namib Naukluft Park is close at hand. Camp Sossusvlei, a 20-kilometre drive from Sesrien. Because of its convenient location, this comfortable camp is the ideal starting point for expeditions into the kingdom of red dunes. Gradually, night falls, and cows slowly return home into the safety of wilderness camp. A few latecomers seem to be in a bit of a hurry. The 7,000-hectare private estate is home to a large variety of animals. Each night the sky is a magical and natural spectacle. The shadows become longer, and the setting sun transforms the acacias to mere silhouettes. When the glowing fireball disappears beneath the horizon, the sky is like a red ocean of fire, full of power and warmth, similar to the landscape of the Namib Naukluft Park.